At 22, Nikhil Asnani is the youngest member of the management team at Guardian Life. He holds the first-class honors in actuarial science. Profile continues to feature outstanding young people. Welcome, I'm Ian Boyne. Nikhil, you at 21 became an associate of the Society of Actuaries. That is rather unusual. Usually people become associates late 20s.
Yeah, usually within their late 20s, maybe. I mean, it varies a lot, of course. Late 20s, I guess, would say is an average. Yes.
And you are not far off from becoming
A fully qualified yes,
actuary.
a fellow. I mean, I'm 2 exams away, but I recently sat one, so I await that result. If that goes well, then, you know, of course, I'd sit the next exam next year.
Yes.
So
you could well become a fellow by next year. You could well.
It's best case scenario.
The best case
right?
scenario, but otherwise
scenario.
In 2017, when you'd be 24.
So. Yes.
And the average age was about mid-30s.
I would say so. Around mid-30s is usually when most people qualify fully as an actuary.
It's quite an achievement.
Thank you.
We were speaking off air, and you mentioned that the Society of Actuaries actually published some statistics recently, which showed that
they published it this year actually. Yeah. The youngest fellow of the Society of Actuaries
in the world,
he qualified at age 20, late 20s, mind you. He's almost 21, but he is to date the youngest to qualify as a fellow under the Society of Actuaries. So
if you qualify in 2017, you certainly would be one of the youngest in the world.
Well, I would think so, yes.
Yeah. Tell us, how does one do that?
Well, you know what, Mr. Boyne, I think I have a lot of inspiration. And in order to do well, of course, you need motivation. Now, one of the things is that I have mentors. I have strong mentorship, and I feel that that's extremely important for anyone to succeed. You know, you can't just do well just on your own like that. You know, you always
stand
need
on the shoulders
someone
of giants,
right. You always need someone to lean on, to ask questions, to guide you. Now, I look up highly to senior peers in the profession, not only locally but even regionally in the Caribbean. You know, there's so many actuaries that I've met recently that, you know, I listen to them speak, and, you know, I watch them at work. You know, I might have meetings where I hear them, and, you know, I get inspired, really. And I look at them and I say, you know what, in the next few years, I want to be like that. So that's definitely one thing.
So you look at models of excellence.
I look at models of excellence.
And you try to
in fact, one of them was actually featured recently on your show.
Oh,
Sekai Campbell. She's been here, I believe, earlier this year.
Absolutely.
She is, of course, an actuary as well. She was the youngest female in the Caribbean to qualify at 26. So she's definitely somebody, especially in my case, who I look up to, and, you know, I really aspire to be like that.
Yeah.
You know?
So mentorship is
one of the keys. Yeah. I think the other thing really is time management. I would put that, I mean, under time management strategy. The way you approach, you say, okay, you know what? I need to do this. How am I going to do it best? Right? That's something a lot of people get bent on doing it.
True, but how?
And, you know, they'll struggle and they'll fight their way, but how?
That's right.
You know, to do what I did, you know, progress fairly quickly, I had to strategize. I said, you know, okay, I'll give you an example. So my first exam, now, to become an associate actuary and even to fellow, They're a rigorous set of exams that you have to complete.
I gather that even the best and brightest fail some exams.
They do.
Or have
It's quite common to
Yes.
fail an actuarial exam. Luckily, I haven't yet.
You've never failed,
I haven't failed
exam,
anything yet.
which I gather is unusual.
So, fairly.
Yes, yes.
But of course, I credit that to my techniques, my mentorship, as I said
Alright.
earlier. I think that, so the first
The
exam I
exam,
took,
yes.
let me get back to the
Yes.
example. I had done an exam in financial mathematics. Now, that's one of the exams required to qualify as an associate. Now, I had done a course at UWI. I did actuarial science. There was a course at UWI, Financial Mathematics 1. And UWI split the course into two. So there was a 1 and a 2. That was done in my my second year, first semester. So that's when I did the 3-month course. That semester ended in December. Now, my first exam in financial mathematics was in February. So I said, you know what? I have a head start.
Yeah,
I got the
will be fresh.
basis upon which I can enhance my knowledge and, of course, learn more, cater my learning towards the exam and, you know, answering questions. So I said, okay, December is Christmas time. January I'll be free. Being at university, you know, you get a month off of Christmas holidays. So I said, you know what? Let me try. Let's have a go at this. Let's see how hard it really is. So I took my first exam in February, and I found that, first of all, learning the content was simplified because I had an exposure and it was still fresh in my head.
Absolutely.
You know, so I did the
And
exam.
you use the Christmas holidays productively.
Yes, I
was-
did.
was-
Not to say that I didn't
have your
celebrate and
Christmas. Yes.
have a good Christmas with the family.
Yes.
But, you know, as soon as Christmas was over, I said, all right,
Work.
let's work. So I took January, essentially. The exam was early February. I took the whole of January to focus. And now 1 month is a relatively short time to prepare.
Yes.
Back then, I didn't know this. But I kind of just took a gamble and said, let me try it. And I ended up successful. So that way, you know, I said, okay, passed one exam. This isn't too bad.
All right.
And I kept on going. I had the momentum going. That same year, I managed to pass 2 more. So, you know, it's still 2013. I'm going into my final year at university, and I have 3 exams.
Okay, you're doing the 2 sets of exams, 2 sets of
Yes.
studies at the same
UWI,
time.
Yes.
You're
So
doing the UWI degree,
I had to balance that.
and you're doing
Now,
the
there is a trade-off there, of course. I mean, I found that I wasn't going to classes as frequently. You know,
Still
because
got the first class honors,
there's no
yeah.
free lunch, right?
Yeah, true.
You have to lose some here to
Yes,
gain some there,
yes.
right? So I did end up kind of balancing things that way. I like to say balance to make it sound a bit better.
yes, yes.
But yeah,
But your end results,
And then
have,
the end
have
results,
justified
yes,
the means.
I think that I balanced it fairly well. And of course, once again, that ties back to the point I made about time management.
Yes.
You know, so it's kind of a subset. It falls under the grand theme, which I think is key to success, not only in the actuarial profession, but any profession or any task, time management.
Time management.
So yes,
Yes.
I credit a lot of it to that.
A lot of people who do actuarial science go the route of the degree first and
Yes.
then a long break before they do the studies toward the
Yes,
fellowship.
that's correct. And I can't exactly provide a reason for that. I don't know if people hear the horror stories and
How hard
say,
it is.
boy, you know, maybe I'm not ready for this yet. I wasn't listening to that.
Ah, that's important.
I didn't listen to that. And even in second year, when I decided, let me sit an exam, you know, people looked at me and said, you sure you want to do this kind of thing?
But people were saying that, in second year, it was
In
almost
second
impossible.
year, you just,
that
you know,
could be,
you're
pass
not
the
even,
exam.
you haven't even found your feet yet.
Yes.
Right? But, you know, I ignored all of that. I put it to a side. I said,
important.
why can't I do it?
Absolutely.
You know,
It's a very important question. Why can't I do it? That's a question that we have to ask ourselves in many situations. Why can't I do it? we can, in fact, do it. And this is what our program has been about for these 28, going on to 29 years now. We take our first break on Profile. Nikhil Asnani is the youngest member of the management team at Guardian Life. He has had a track record of success, 9 distinctions at CXC, at Campion, 6 distinctions at Cape with 4 twos, and the first class honors in actuarial science. And this year, he became an associate of the Society of Actuaries at the age of 21.
Yes.
At the age of 21.
Yes.
You're 22 now.
I'm 22 now.
No,
Recently
but
turned
yeah,
22.
but you became associate at 21, which is quite an achievement. So you were telling us some of the factors for your responsible for your extraordinary success. You had mentioned mentorship, time management, and there were others.
I think another factor I'll take a more emotional approach now and say my mother.
Your mother.
Because, well, I was raised firstly by her, strictly.
Single-headed woman.
Single parent.
Your parents
And
broke up when you were young?
They were separated when I was fairly young. I mean, I was too young to understand what was happening, but they are separated, so my
your
mother...
father sort of vanished from your life?
He disappeared.
Oh, okay.
So it's myself and my brother. She had to raise the 2 of us. And the thing with her is that she, no matter how well I do at anything, she always takes me and says, you can do better. And while initially I used to say, Mom, can't you ever be satisfied? I've learned now that one of the biggest lessons from that is humility. Because I find that a lot of people, they might, they will have good accomplishments and then they might get complacent and say, well, I've done this, I'm good, I'm set for life. My mother didn't instill that in me. She always said, you can do better, you can do better. And it's that echo in my head that just keeps me going, right? Another thing is, well, I am extremely grateful for executive management at my company, Guardian Life. They promoted me at this age, and we know it's uncommon at this age to have so much work responsibility, and I feel like they made an investment in me because they saw potential. I mean, they do know what becoming an associate actuary entails. We don't have that many in Jamaica especially. So they saw that, maybe this guy has something in him. So they did make an investment in me, and I, of course, hope to live up to that expectation. I have a noble profession to uphold. It's a very esteemed profession, especially in the Caribbean.
Yes,
I mean, there's so few actuaries.
There are few actuaries in the Caribbean.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why it's so high paying.
That's why, well, I won't get into that.
No, man, don't defer on that.
But, they made an investment, and I really appreciate that, the fact that they were confident in me and they promoted me. And I seek motivation from that. I say, well, I can't mess up on them.
Yes.
So
when you go into meetings, as the youngest member, you see all of these senior executives.
Yes,
were you intimidated at first?
I definitely was. I mean, I remember the first meeting I went to, I think, with, of course, most of the executives.
Yeah.
It was in a boardroom, and, I'm there being this 21-year-old guy who just joined the company. I mean, I actually just last week would have completed 1 year working full-time at the company. I'm just there shaky and my voice is cracking and everything, but
Of course, you'll be helped by the fact that you have a president with such a wonderful personality, Eric
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
Who is so personable and
Yes,
so
he's
gracious.
very friendly.
That's right.
And
So
I think he
that
likes
would
me
help. Yes,
a lot.
yes. So it
I
would help
think
to
that
have
definitely plays a role.
Eric as a head, yes.
Well, one of the good things about working at Guardian Life is that, at least at this stage of my career, is that it's a relatively small company. So I work.
With a big reach, the second largest,
Well,
insurance
yes, that's true.
company in Jamaica, yeah.
So I work firstly on the third floor, which is actually where most of the executives are. Eric himself is on the third floor.
Third floor, okay.
So, I get to interact with them.
Interact with
I
them,
get to
see
see
them.
how they think and, how they communicate, how decisions are made, which I think is very critical to my development as a manager, as a professional. So I'm very grateful for that. So now I've become more accustomed to the VPs, the
Yes.
managers, the senior managers. I feel like I've gotten along well with them.
Yes.
Most, if not all of them.
And you
know.
do look a little older than 22.
Well, I don't know if that's a blessing or a
Well,
curse.
at your age,
but
at your age, that's good.
I think eventually I might want that to reverse.
You want to reverse that, yes.
But yes, I've been told that.
Yes.
When people, especially the managers and above at the company,
Yes.
I joined the company and other people thought, he's probably in his mid to late 20s or so.
Yes.
A lot of people, when I tell them I'm 21 or I'm 22 now,
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah, they could
are you serious? So yes, that's always a
You had
a
worked at
surprise.
Guardian during summers. Is it
Yes,
2012,
I
2013?
went as a summer student,
Summer student,
in
yeah.
2012 and in 2013. Just, short 1 month and 2 month respectively durations. I felt that it was important. I mean, I was doing the actuarial degree, but I felt that it was extremely important to get a hands-on approach, not only of the industry, but the company. And the position I did get was one that was ideal for me because it was in the actuarial department, which in Jamaica, it's very hard to find a traditional actuarial role. So I was lucky. I happen to know, in fact, the way I got introduced to Guardian Life was through Alok Jain, who has been on the show as well.
Look, yes. Not outstanding.
He knows my current boss personally, Kathy Allen. She's the only actuary at the company. So he had a word with her, and through that I was able to apply. I got a hands-on feel of the company, and I said, you know what? I think this isn't so bad. So I decided, okay, I will go through with this.
Yes.
And, well, here I am.
Good. Young people making their mark. Profile is the program where you see the people who are making their impact now and who are destined to make an even greater impact. One such young man is with us on Profile. We take a final break. Nikhil Asnani is my guest on Profile. You are from a strong academic family. Your grandfather
Yes.
was professor at university
yes.
For a while in medicine.
Yes.
And your mother is also involved in medicine research. Tell us
Yeah,
about your
she's-
family.
Well, as you said it correctly. I mean, my mother, she's a doctor, a medical doctor, but she focuses more on research, more specifically sickle cell disease.
Oh,
There's actually a sickle cell unit on the UWI Mona campus.
so your mother is a
She works there.
working sickle cell unit.
Yes. And, well, my grandfather is highly academic, of course. He's a professor. He was a professor in the physiology department. So he taught, med school students,
Well,
my
that's a
friends
medical-
included.
Oh,
My friends used to say, oh, I have your grandfather today.
okay.
So it's an academic family.
And you are the only one who was born in Jamaica?
Well, I was the
Well,
first
first-
one.
first one to
The
be
first
born
one,
in
yes. My
Jamaica.
grandparents came from India directly. And
Your
then
mother?
my mother was born in India
Born
and
in
then would
India.
have come here in her childhood, where she went on to school, high school at Arden, actually. And then UWI. She did med school here.
Yes.
At this time, she was just learning English. So,
Yes.
and
you
then
speak
I was
Hindi?
born. Yes, I understand it.
You understand
I
Hindi?
can read it. I can write it.
You read it and write it?
In fact, I'm a very frequent watcher of Bollywood movies.
Oh, you watch Bollywood movies?
Yeah,
You love
and I love the music.
You
the
love-
music as well. I probably actually listen to more Hindi music than English music.
Is that so?
Yeah, that's something a lot of people probably don't know about.
So
me.
you're strongly attached to your
yes.
Indian culture?
Yes, definitely. And it's a very, it's a very conservative family. You know,
It's a Hindu family.
It's a Hindu family. Yes. You know, we practice Hinduism in the home, and of course we're fairly conservative people, traditional. You know.
And how these values helped you and
Well,
promoted your success?
That's actually, I think, a very critical aspect of what I've been able to do. I think the way you're socialized, the way you're brought up, plays a very crucial role. I mean, as I said, my mother's a single mother.
Yes.
That's one thing. So it was hard to adjust to that, where my father kind of disappeared and I didn't know what was happening. But aside from that, it's the values that she instills in me. And of course my grandparents as well, not to forget them.
Yes.
You know, we're a very close-knit family.
So you had gone to live with your grandparents?
Yes, I was rotating back and forth, and now I've been living with my grandparents for over a decade now.
Okay.
So I think
And you still live in a family home?
I still live
You
with them.
haven't gone out to some
Still live with them.
townhouse?
Every time I
unlike
mention
young people.
no, every time I mention moving out, they're like, "No, you're staying here."
Yeah, you see?
So,
You still live in a
and you know, I think it, especially at this age, I think it's important to understand family values, and I actually think it certainly played a role in my academic and professional development. I mean, if I was living alone, for example, I would have probably been wasting more time. You know, but having them to sort of ground me at home, I feel like I was able to say, okay, let me focus, you know, make my family happy, make them proud, make myself proud. And I feel like that was one of the vehicles that enabled me to reach where I am. So definitely the way you're socialized and the friends.
Friends,
Now,
it's important.
at my age, you know, we see our youth nowadays, you know, getting into all kind of things. I mean, you know, recently students getting shot and robbed, this and that. And, you know, a lot of them are getting into drinking, smoking, all these kind of things, right? Now, I'm blessed to have friends who encourage development, right? I try not to associate with, you know, the slack of the group, right? It's very important, I believe, because at the end of the day, peer pressure is very real, and it definitely is something that shouldn't be underestimated. I mean, one might be able to say, oh, my friends are like that, but I won't be like that. It's not so easy. You know, you have people
So must choose our associations.
You have to choose wisely. I mean, everything goes together. You know, how you're socialized, who you associate with, who you know.
Great. We know we're going to be hearing a lot more from you. Nikhil Asnani, one of the youngest persons to have become an associate actuary, and is on his way to becoming one of the youngest persons in the world to be an actuary. We continue to feature outstanding young people on Profile. Next week I'll be back. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a very pleasant and a very productive week.